What is up, Roar Nation? We are back in Marietta. It feels great. Just donated an awesome flag out there, man, to the Innovation Center. It came from Bully Burgers, so we're keeping it in the family. I'm pumped.
I love it.
This is going to be an awesome show. I feel the energy.
I can't wait, man.
Right? So, first of all, brought to you by none other than Roar. Look, at the end of the day, you know what I say. Anytime you raise your testosterone, it makes everyone smile. All right? So that's what it's all about. Roar is one of the most potent natural testosterone boosters on the market today, and we are coming out with an improved, more intense breakdown, believe it or not, next month. So I'm pumped, man.
I can't wait for that.
I'm pumped, man.
I'm turning 33 tomorrow, so I think that I came to back the right time.
That's a stocking stuffer.
I know. I'm like, hey, dude, get it. That's what's up.
I love it. So I'm here with my man Marshal Gillen, right?
Yes, sir.
And I know we met at the event. Initially Manny's event.
Right.
I was able to speak there, and I know that we connected, reached out. We're going to collaborate and do some fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited, man.
And
I've been watching your show. I've seen the Monster Motivation TV, and I've seen some of the entrepreneurs you had on here. So when you made it so easy, like, hey, yeah, felt this thing. I like what you're about. Come on. I was like, damn. I started watching this thing. I'm like, I don't even know if I belong here. But I'm like, you know what? No way, man. Like, I'm sitting here. This is what's up. So I'm very thankful to get a chance to connect to you at 1,000 Speakers event. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what you're going to extract from me. I'm a little nervous to see that. Dave's like professional.
Hey, man, you know what they say when it's a dynamic duo, when it scares you and excites you at the same time, it just means it's big enough, right? And here's when I knew we were going to connect. There's people out there when they want to say, hey, I want to get on your show, I want to do this, I want to do that. And when I send them the link, it's crickets, right? Yeah. But you jumped on it, you took action, and you know I'm a big believer that massive effective action becomes magical.
100%.
The people and the circumstances come into your life to make it happen. And I felt your energy from the stage, man, because you were right up front, right? And he was ready to run through a wall. And I love it, man. I love that energy. My man Rob Garcia, he was on. He had a blast.
Dr. Rob was great. So that's how we connected that and got in touch with this. And it's that's the one thing. If anybody's watching, the people that are watching this live, you're coming back and visiting. I can't understate it enough. I can't say it enough. It's like just the power of reaching out and connecting with people. Yeah. Like I almost didn't go to that event. Like I was just like, I've been on the road, I've been traveling, I'm going to all these events. But I decided to go to this last one, and literally, if nothing else, all I get was the fact that I met Dave Daley. Like I'm on Monster Motivation TV, and now the chance to collaborate with not only another motivator, but a fitness guy. Like, man, just the power of showing up. Right. And like when you say that, like massive action. Yeah, it's cliche, I get it, especially in the entrepreneur space, but I love that one simple little word that you add to it because it changes the whole dynamic of it. Massive, effective action. I didn't just show up at the networking event. I showed up, I sat in front, I raised my hand as high as I could.
Participated, right?
Right. Massive, effective action. When you sat up on the stage that day, I was like, oh, Dave, yes, duh. That's so genius, man. So I love it.
Love it, man, because I think you're right, because a lot of people get stuck with being busy, and they think that's, and at the end of the day, it's really, what are your results at the end of the day? That's what you want to focus on, and people just do it different ways. But let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
So I grew up on a farm in Sterling, Illinois.
Wow.
So, yeah, dude,
Midwest kid.
Midwest, man. I'm a blue-hearted, blue-collar boy.
Lace up the boots and get to work.
That's all it was, man. Yeah. My actually, it's funny because my stepdad, he used to have a motto, and we didn't really get along that great, but the motto was always, if you're going to stay up late, you're going to get up early. Which I don't know how that makes any sense. So that was his thing, man. And it works. I mean, that work ethic that he instilled in me growing up on a farm is just, I couldn't trade it for the world. I'm actually giving a talk on radical gratitude in the beginning of November. And just kind of the relationship that I'm sure we're about to get into with my stepfather and the work ethic that he was able to instill in me. But, living in Southern California now, I live a couple blocks from the beach. And I'm a SoCal guy through and through. But, I mean, I am incredibly proud to be where I'm from. I'm very happy to be where I'm at. So I don't ever forget where I came from. Little tiny town about this big, 10,000 people.
It's the heartbeat, man.
Yeah, it's
man. It's the heartbeat.
It's just the intent, just the things that I learned growing up in the Midwest, how to look somebody in the eye, how to shake their hand. You know what I mean? How to make that connection. Little things like, oh, you're moving. Like, oh, let me help you. Like, I'll be the first guy. Like, things that I just know growing up that people didn't like to do, but making that connection, being good to your neighbor, offering all these little things that even in 2017, I think a lot of people that don't come from a heartland, or don't come from a blue collar, or didn't have to struggle at all. It's just like a missing component. I don't really know how
There's
to
no question. There's a void.
Yeah,
there's a void.
100%.
And that's funny because I always say, because I've been out here since 2008, and I'm, believe it or not, I'm from Jersey.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
The original Jersey.
and you know you remember. And where I'm from is like you were talking about, the heartbeat, right, of the country. Where I'm from is whether you like us, whether you don't, you know where you stand with us. And when you know where you stand with somebody, that's all I ask,
100%.
right? It has nothing to do with, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me, you can like me, you can hate me, but you know where you stand.
Couldn't agree more.
And to me, that's the value.
Right.
And that's how I grew up.
That's how I grew up, and it's still how I judge every single relationship, business partnership. Everything I do is still like, I mean, I have a feeling, and I don't ever pretend to be better than anybody, because I'm not. Like, who am I? Like, I'm nobody.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm like, when I, it's funny that, I'm feeling like, oh, do I even belong on this show? Like, I saw these things. I'm like, yeah, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And the reason is because, yeah, I might not have, the huge, wealth or big, like, network yet. But the things I can offer are genuine, like being generous, being a friend, being loyal, being honest. And to me, that's the understanding that I'm starting to learn in entrepreneurship as far as networking up. That's what counts. Like being able to be real, authentic. Like, you know what, Dave, I don't know what I can offer you yet, but I'll tell you what, man, whatever it is, as strong as oak, and like, I'm gonna bust my ass to make sure it's done. And that's how I like to work.
And once we shake hands, it's a done deal.
Done deal.
It's a done deal. And to me, I always, people want to talk about, how do I get security? Where do I get security? And here, it's real simple, right? Bring more value than the next guy. If you want to create security in your business, in your company, in your relationships, in your intimate relationships, bring more value than the other person. You're guaranteed security.
That's so perfect. And it's true, right? I mean, it's like literally people are like, oh, well, how do you get what you want? Just make yourself more valuable.
Yes.
Like, just become more valuable. Well, I hate my job, and like, I deserve this. Do you? Like, do you deserve what the life you have, or do you deserve the life?
As soon as that sentence starts, that means they don't deserve it.
They don't deserve it.
Right.
You already know. You already know. And I've already right or wrong, I've already checked you off. Right? Okay.
As soon as that sentence starts, gone. So, growing up in the Midwest, did you play sports? How was your childhood?
So you know what, man, it's really crazy. My mom is my best friend. Like I said, I turn 33 tomorrow. I'm such a mama's boy, but she's always an amazing integral part, the most supportive person. So that's always been a big thing. My mom is my best friend. My parents were divorced when I was 3. My dad was an alcoholic. Loved me very much. We just couldn't get his act together. They split. And
so your mom raised you.
So my mom, I was very close knit to my mom, but she ended up getting remarried about a year later to my stepfather. They're still married. And he was young when we got married. I think he was like 24. I was 4. Yeah. And so our relationship at first was great. We were growing up in this little town, and my mom was the CEO of a bank, and I think Phil at the time was a jailer for the county sheriff. Yeah. And everything life was really great. And then about 6 years old, we moved from I still have town and country. We moved from the town out to the country and onto a farm. And that's when my farming career began. For Phil, my stepfather, he just was getting back into farming from a little hiatus break. So that's how I grew up, like that. But the thing was, early on, Phil and I was cool. I wanted to wear the same clothes, and I wanted to have the pliers and the same belt.
He became your hero.
My hero. Yeah. But very, very quickly, once I was about 8 or 9, and I understood, I realized I didn't have a choice. There was no choice of if I was going to get a chance to work on the farm or not. Like, that's what I was doing. There was no weekends. There was no going out. There was no summer camp. It was work. Yeah, and that was it. And he started to treat me like a grown man, and our relationship got very bad very quickly. And for most of my life, it was just him and I going like this. Now, my mom, she worked. She had to drive like an hour and 45 minutes to get to her work, so she was, she'd wake up early in the morning.
She was in survival mode.
Well, yeah, she was back and forth. And growing up, it's like that blue collar thing. Growing up on the farm with all those men, it was never ever a point from the time I was 5 till I was 18 when I moved out. Like, I was ever going to run to my mom and be like, oh, right. Phil's being like, just shut up, like, whatever, to be a man. So for me, what was my childhood like? Yeah, it was great. On the outside, I was straight A student, team captain of all of my teams. Football, track, basketball, baseball. I was homecoming king. Class president for all the year. I was all these things. I'd go to people's houses and they're like, your son is so
that white picket fence.
Yeah, and I'd hear I'm being praised how great I'm at, and all these great things. But then I come home, And, you know, my stepdad's like, you know, all the worst things. You're a worthless piece of crap, and like you don't know, and you want to live in my house, you're gonna work, and like you're so unthankful, and all these things. So it was weird growing up, and I'm only starting to now realize what, like, I'm starting to go, oh man,
where that came from.
Yeah, and it's like, why have I been having such a hard time connecting to higher level individuals now in entrepreneurship? I get all these testimonials and messages every day, like, Marshall, you're changing my life, and if it wasn't for you, and all these wonderful things, but I still don't believe it, and I still don't connect with these higher level people. So it's very interesting, this entrepreneur journey, how everything kind of starts to unfold. If you wanted to, if you choose to become self-aware enough to take control of your life, then these are things that come up. And so for me growing up, man, I was happy as a clam for the most part. Like I did all the things that country boys do, you know, cruising around the back roads, drinking some beers, and like just all the things, you know. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know how I made it to 33. I mean, we pushed the limits more than I as a couple country boys. But it's definitely, when I pull back the curtains, there's a darkness behind it.
So are you able to step back now and see where that came from for him? Because that's really a fear-based mentality. That's you know, an insecurity on his part.
I appreciate you saying that, because that's something I've always been aware of but never understood. So it's weird because, you know, a couple times throughout high school there had been a bigger fight or something, and my mom would be just so distraught. And my mom was divorced from my father. I have a stepsister 10 years younger than me, and my mom felt this weird guiltiness, you know, early in her life about the whole thing with the relationship with me and my stepdad, but she didn't want my sister Bryn to ever have to go through, like, it was like a guilt thing for her. So it was like she
just sucked it up.
Yeah, you know. So the thing with that, but so for me it's just like I'm only starting to realize it now, because we'd get in these big knockout fights, and I was always the first one to defend him, even when I hated him. Even when I'm always like, oh, she's my mom, like, oh, that's it, Marshall, I can't deal with this, like, we're moving out, like, and I'm like, no, mom, like, no, like, we're not moving out, like, he doesn't do this on purpose. And that's the one thing I've always understood. Like,
so you always had that awareness?
Yeah, and it makes me feel bad because I love the guy.
Where do you think that came from with you?
I don't know, probably from my mom, or the compassion that I get from, like, my grandparents. I was very close with my grandpa before he passed away. And I don't know where that compassion comes from, but my life is built on that compassion. I love love. And I don't ever have a problem, like, I don't know, I'm always like, well, I don't care. You can tease me, I'll kick outside, kick your ass. But, like, I'm like, I love love. Like, I really do. And I don't think that's weird. I think that I wish that love was a more prominent, like, emotion in society.
For a man, right? And I shared a little bit of how I grew up, right? And as a little kid, as you show fear, you're weak, right? But ultimately, stepping back, when you become an adult, if you can build your level of awareness, you start to realize it's actually the reverse. Right. When you can show that love, when you can show that compassion, that comes from a courageous place, because you're showing vulnerability, right? And that's what most men are terrified of showing vulnerability. Right. And I had to work through that for a long time to understand that, right? I learned that even I was marriage counseling with my first wife, or my only wife, but my ex-wife, and you know, when you start to talk about this, you know, I'm 23, 4-year-old kid from Jersey. I'm sitting on this couch. I look at my ex-wife. I go, "Show what are we doing here?" And she was and she's the one that got me into the universe and the personal development. And the first few times, I go, "Are you crazy?" I go, "What? This lady flew into some kind of party," right? And but she taught me that it's life 101. Yeah,
it really is.
Personal development to me is life 101, and it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy that it's not taught in school from day one, because you can keep all those other classes that mean nothing. This is life 101. Energy. What you think about comes about. You create your own reality. You need to take responsibility, and I can go on and on and on.
I could too. That's my jam. It's changed my life. Those are the principles.
I mean, talk about that.
So you know, no matter what generation it is, whether young, old, whatever, like, it's the same principles. And that's what I'm starting to understand the older I get. And you're absolutely right, man. Like, I'm like you, like in the respect that I grew up very blue collar. I grew up with, you didn't talk about feelings or like. Or you can do it. You can become whatever you want. Just think about it, and you can achieve it. Like,
you get smacked.
You get smacked. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, have to be like, people are like, oh, you want to be a motivational speaker? Like, okay, sissy, like, cool. Put no, like, so you know, so I get it. But that's what the crazy thing is, and that's why I'm on a quest now. Like, I want to tell. I drive every chance I get to drive back to what I do, whether I'm in real life or on camera, I always do, because it's so exciting to me, because literally you can change your life. Like, you can control your entire life if you just get clear on what you want, and then you just get to it's like a game. I think I'm a competitive guy, so being able to gamify it is like, it's something like, ooh, me versus you. Like, what am I doing today to move that chess piece? And I never played chess, but I'm a long-term, long vision kind of guy. So for me, understanding like, well, if I really want something in life, I'll set the goal, and then literally all I have to do is just be the type of person that gets to achieve that type of goal. Every day, just be that type of person that gets to achieve that. Yeah, you create it, and then it can be. And I know it sounds like, oh, woo-woo and kind of crazy, like, oh, well, that's not real. I don't know if it's real or if it isn't.
No,
all I know is that I keep doing it the last 10 months, and it keeps showing up, man. Like, it just keeps happening. All I have to do is be honest every day, and show up every day, and try my hardest every day, and I keep winning, right?
Living the truth.
That's it.
You just live in the truth.
I just live it. I just document what I do. I show up and I be the person that inspires people, and I just do my life.
You live your truth. So high school, you get done high school, then what?
So I get done with high school, and I'm graduating, and it's funny because I have never really traveled, and I'm 18 years old, and everything at 18, right? Because you're so old now, And I was like, I'm going as far away to school as I possibly can. I'm getting as far away.
I'm
out of here. And I grew up in Northern Illinois at the top of the state. I went to school at Southern Illinois. I didn't know you could go to
but that's still far for you.
Yeah, because at the time it's so funny. Growing up at a farm, my mindset was so limited.
Yes.
I didn't know I could go to SDSU. I didn't know I could go to Miami, Southern Illinois. Like, here we come. So it's funny.
And see, I just want to let you know the universe, right, protected you, because if you would have went to Miami, you might not be here.
Oh no, it'd be probably something different.
It'd be a different,
I'd probably be
different journey.
Castaway in who knows, some foreign country doing terrible things. So I graduated from high school, and I had a couple options on my plate. I got a full academic ride to Southern Illinois University. Math teacher is what I wanted to do, so I've always wanted to teach. But the thing I wanted to do, the only reason I wanted to teach was because I wanted to be a high school football coach. Okay. And the only way you could be a high school football coach is you had a teaching degree back then. So that's what. So I was either a full ride to school for academics. I had two scholarships to play Division II football, and I had a full ride to Cooking and Hospitality Institute Chicago. I was a running back, but I probably would have played like the slot guy or returner. Yeah. I loved that. Yeah. Well, at the time I was it's so funny because in high school I didn't want to hit anybody. I was like, I didn't want to hit. I just wanted to give me the ball. I wanted to run real fast. And now I'm like, as an adult, I'm looking back and oh, it looks like I put some pads, just take me back and hit somebody. So I opted for SIU. I wanted to go to SIU. I got there, went my first semester, and I had dated the same girl all throughout high school, like a high school sweetheart and blah, blah. And so I kind of got homesick, being away from my girlfriend. And I was like, I only lasted a semester, realized I hated school, realized that
you did well.
I always hated it.
Why?
Because my brain doesn't work like that. It's the same way when I have to sit down and build my website or I have to do my email marketing, I can do it.
But here's what's interesting about that statement, though, because I hated it too, but I never graduated high school, right? I was always D's and F's, always in trouble. You hated it, but you did so well.
Right.
Where? How?
I didn't ever study. I never did my homework. So
it came natural.
It came natural. I just show up to class. I would listen to it, then I'd go take the test, and I would get an A. And I would usually be the person that made there be a curve to the test. I'd be like, I'd score this high score.
Really?
And they'd be like, oh man. And that's just how it was
just
for me.
Just a gift. Yeah.
A lot of people look at me like, man, it's such a waste. Like, I wish I was like that. I'm like, it's not about that. Like, there's these gifts, but I use them a different way. I can use these it wasn't because I was good at school because I was good at connecting. I didn't know this until literally recently when I'm looking back and my whole life has changed in the last 4 months, man. You have no idea. But yeah, I'm looking back at these things and I'm like, well, I was like the little campaigner. I was super connector, networking, I don't want to say weaseling my way through school because that's not the right word, but just very much
figured out
the system.
What you had to do.
Oh man, I was working the system from the coaches and the teachers, and I like a politician, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
So these are all skill sets that everybody has different skill sets, which you know. And for me, it's just been a nonstop journey to figure out. One day I just sat down a year ago, and I'm like, what am I good at? What am I good at? What do I suck at? And I could write down all these things. I'm good at school or whatever. But it turned out is that I'm good at connecting. I'm good at talking. And everything else is whatever. Like, yeah, I'm good at school. I can take tests, but like, I'm really good at talking and really good at connecting. Okay, so how can I get paid to do that, or how can I be happy doing that? And then that's led me on this journey here. So that's why I'm always trying to tell people, like, what is it you're good at? Become self-aware enough to what are you the best at, and then literally forget everything else. We just talked about this right before we went on air with Gary Vaynerchuk. All I did was exactly what he said. Right? I doubled down on what I was good at. I went all in on what I'm good at. I forgot about everything else. I stopped caring about everything else. I started surrounding myself with people who want me to win, and then show up every day and work hard. And that's not something that I did though. That's not something I did in the beginning, because one, I dropped out of school. I'll never forget. It was on my 19th birthday. Actually, I drove home to the credit union where Mom was at. I showed up in the middle of the day, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "So, Mom." I'm dropping out of school. You know, I'm moving in with Joanne, and I'm getting a job, and I'm buying a house, and like I did the whole thing. And so I did that. I only lasted like a year, not even.
How was she?
When you my mom. Oh, this is actually, it's funny. I'm sorry if you're watching this, Mom, because it still makes her cry. But because my mom and I are best friends, we have been forever. Yeah. But that day, she was very upset with me, and I remember standing up in the office. And I said, "What are you saying, Mom? Are you saying that we're not friends anymore?" And she said, "Yeah, Marshall, I guess that's what I'm saying." And I walked out, and I disappeared for like 4 days. And I remember, actually, I was at my friend Jeff's house.
How did that hit you when you first?
Oh, I was wrecked. Because I was the only person ever.
Right.
But I also couldn't really process it because it was so obscure that my mom, like, come on, you know what I mean? Right. But it was. So I went on. But
even to hear that.
Yeah, I went on this hiatus, and I was like staying at my friend's house. Actually, I was sleeping on half of a couch cushion, like one couch cushion here, like, and it was a mess. I was 18, 19. I guess I was 19. And anyways. So every now and then I'll tease my mom sometimes. I'll be like, "Hey, Mom, remember that time you said we're not friends?" Marshall, don't even bring that up. So it's just very funny. But then I just kind of went in this downward spiral where I actually, for most of my 20s, thought it was cool to be like a gypsy. I took pride in that gypsy, like, oh, I'm a gypsy.
Figure it out.
Well, not even it, because looking back, it was like hiding. I just totally was like, nope. I'm not gonna take any accountability for anything. Screw it. And I didn't know this at the time. I was like, I'm gonna pass the buck. It's not my fault. I'm a hard worker. Like, it's everybody else. I'm living in my car because of everybody else. Like,
you just refuse.
Victim. And what happened? What the world
Victims
give me?
never win. Yeah.
I asked the world to make me a victim, and it did every single day of my life for my entire 20s. Wow. I almost OD'd on drugs when I was 23. I've been married and divorced. I've been homeless multiple times. I've lived in my car multiple times. I've had every kind of crazy job that you can have. I've been a millwright. I've stripped cars in the back of some weird warehouse like miles out of town. Like, I've worked in a plastic bucket factory. I've done all kinds of crap jobs. And finally, at the age of 25, maybe I was 26, I had moved out to California. I had left early. I left at the age of 21. I left Illinois at the age of 21 and headed out to California. I just on a whim. I broke up with my high school sweetheart, sold my house, quit my job, did everything. I said, I'm out. I just drove out, and I made it happen. I got a job, got a place to live.
What year was that?
That was 2006.
Okay.
And then so I was out here a year. I was 21. I ended up in Walnut Creek, California. So if anybody who knows anything about California, Walnut Creek, it's ritzy, it's nice. So to go from a farm town to accidentally landing in Walnut Creek,
where's that?
it's in the Bay Area,
okay.
Right outside San Francisco. Yeah. So it was like, whoa, it's culture shock. Like, oh, what am I doing here, you know? And so I lasted a year there, and then I got this wild hair up my butt for Cubs season. And a year later, I was sitting in a pub, kind of half-cocked, watching the Cubs game. And I'm like, I've never lived downtown Chicago during Cubs season. I'm going to move home. So literally like 2 days later, I quit my job, I terminated leased my apartment, packed up my car, drove back home to Illinois. I was home for 4 days, and a buddy of mine who wasn't really a buddy at the time, just my knew from high school, was like, "Hey, bro, like, what are you doing back? Why would you leave California?" And at that moment, I was like, I made a mistake. I was like, I wanted to come back. Yeah. And he's like, "Well, have you ever been to San Diego?" And I was like, "No, I've never been there." And he's like, "Well, let's go. Would you move there?" And I said, "Let's do it." So on day 6 after coming home, packed up my car again, and we headed out to San Diego. So that's kind of the timeline of
your mom's like dizzy by now.
My mom is dizzy. I can't tell you guys. That's the only reason I want to make any money. Like, my number one goal is to retire my mom.
But you know, now that's like I share my story.
Yeah.
It's unconditional love, though, isn't it?
That's it.
It's unconditional love.
She never said anything else besides yes, you can.
It's just unconditional.
It's it. There's nothing. No question.
Yeah.
And that's why. And I've actually shared the story that you shared with us. At the event about you and your father and the gift at the end. And I mean, that story, it hit me so hard. It's so incredible to be able to share something like that. And I've kept that in the back of my mind as it pertains to relationships with my family and just the things I want to be able to accomplish. But it's that, yeah, you're right. It's that unconditional love.
Yeah.
And, you know, from the age of whatever it was, 21 to 27, I mean, my mom, I put her through the ringer. I'm sure everybody in my life, I just was a mess.
Right.
And then it's funny because what actually happened, and I know Shanny loves hearing this story, is that you know, there became a point in my life when I was 27. I had actually tried to join the Navy, and I got to a point where I was like, I just want to join the Navy. I don't want to do any of this anymore. But I didn't want to just enlist. I wanted to get a certain rate, and I took the ASVAB, scored a 93. Took the PST test to get into the school I wanted to get into, crushed it. But I got a DUI when I was 21, so I couldn't get a security clearance to get the rate that I wanted. Yeah. So after a year and a half of trying to get in and working with a recruiter, it just kind of one day was like, you're never going to be able to do this. So I had this like body and mindset that was like ready for like the highest level of the Navy.
And they just rejected.
And it was rejected. So now I'm a cabana pool. I'm a pool boy. I'm a cabana boy at the Hotel Del in Coronado,
Right.
And I'm 27 and I'm working with 18-year-olds, and I'm like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And this manager, this new lady started, and I just remember meeting her and being like, man, like what kind of guy gets to date a girl like that? And there was nothing really particularly special about her. Just that looking back on it now, I hung out with all losers in my life. So the first person that wasn't just like a freaking loser, right. I was like enamored. I was like, oh, you don't like waste your life getting drunk and doing drugs and like being crazy and just worthless. Like, oh, so I was, what kind of guy gets to be with a girl like that? But the only reason that I tell this story is because it's so important to understand what goal setting is. And this is when my entire life changed. And it's been slow from 27 to now 33. But I remember seeing this girl and I was like, man, what kind of guy gets to be with a girl like that? And then every day I just started I was like, well, I bet he works out, so I started working out. Never worked out before.
Never
worked. I just no more than like wait until the coach left the gym and then like skedaddling out. So I never worked out before. Started working out. I had a free pass. I never had done this thing where I partied all the time. Stopped partying. And all of a sudden it was like she started to notice me, and she's like, oh yeah, we should hang out, and then so on and so forth. And we ended up dating. But that was the first time in my life ever, because there was no way ever possible that a guy like me was going to date that girl, and I was able to understand, oh my God, when you get clear on something and then you act like the type of person that gets to achieve that goal.
And you just keep moving, huh?
Yeah. And luckily, that relationship was a mess because I was a mess and that girl was crazy. And but that was that literally, right. I joke around, but that literally was my intro into this new life. I was bartending at the time, and even though I was making good money, I was still going, man, yeah, I'm making $300 for 6 hours of work, $400 for 6 hours of work, but how can I do this without having to show up every day? And that's when I started questioning value. And that's when I go, oh, I need more value for my time. So the last 5 years, I've been on this journey to understand and optimize what exactly does that mean to Marshal Gillen? How can you earn value for your time? How do you create that value? And that's where it started. I became a personal trainer, so that's how I got into this. I hated it, just created a job for myself. Yeah. And I was like, man, there's got to be a better way. Moved into online training. And that's when the whole world opened up to me. And ever since then, I've been making money online, just understanding how to use the tools that we have.
So you're creating workouts for people, nutritional programs?
Yes.
Okay.
And I loved it. But this is the problem. And it's funny because, Dave, I just literally had a meeting this morning with my business coach. And this all just came to fruition right now. You guys are seeing it at real. But the disconnect and the problem I've been having, and even now as a social media expert and the coaching the people I coach now, is the disconnect I have is that I love the motivational part. And I reached out to this about a couple days ago before this interview, and I love taking people from 0 to 1. I love that. I don't care. Like, it's same thing with schoolwork. Like, I don't want to know all the steps and all the systems. Like, I don't want to take you from step 2 to 3. Like, I'm sorry, just don't. Like, it's not my specialty. Let me find somebody smarter, more analytical, more tactical. Like, let me find somebody that can teach you. And so in personal training, what was happening is I would get them to want to start, but then I'd have to do all of that work of taking the next step. And I just didn't like that. Same thing with the social media expert. I love speaking. I love connecting. I love the masterminds. It's not that I don't like the one-on-one, but people can be, it's easy to read. I don't say it's easy to read people. I pride myself on being able to read people, but sometimes you can get a false reading in the sense of when you're working with entrepreneurs, they say all the right things, but when it actually comes to people taking action, they don't show up. And there's nothing more maddening to me. Like and this is not like a plug for myself, but I run a monthly membership club, and it's like thousands of dollars of information inside this club. I give it away for $1 a month. I used to sell these courses. She doesn't even like to talk about it because it drives her nuts. For like making $1,000 a day, like thousands of dollars a day, you know. And now I give away for $1, and people are like, why though? And this is why, because this is how much I really mean it. Like, I want to take away everybody's excuses. Bullshit. You can't do it. You can't afford it. Yes, you can. This is $1. Why can't you? I've built my entire brand in the last 10 months, Marshal Live, all free. And it's been very, very important to me because I'm sick of people's excuses. Like, don't give me that. And so that's the one thing for me that's been the constant journey, is that I'm trying to learn how to utilize my skills as a motivator. So I want to connect with you and learn from this guy here, and how to actually be fulfilled in what I'm doing. You know, I want to understand how to get to do the best parts of things I like, but only work with people who are like action takers.
And that's it. And that's why I don't coach, because I just don't have I don't have the DNA.
I don't think I do.
I'm allergic to excuses. So as soon as the excuses come, right, I either shut off or I become that football coach, right? And either way, it usually doesn't end good.
It doesn't.
It just doesn't end good, because most people don't understand what it's going to take to truly build a business from scratch. If they've never done it, they have no idea what it's going to take. It's going to take everything you got and then some.
I mean, literally, even at the expense of our relationship, sometimes almost we're to the point now where like we're very strong and we're together more than ever. But even 3 years of that, I mean, you know, if her watching, Shannon watching me, you know, put in 18 hours a day, what are you doing? Not understanding, you know, it's tough. But like, I don't know what to tell you. You know, at one point, I'm the most compassionate person I'll ever meet. I mean, I just sat here and like, oh, I love love. I choose love, but like, don't get it wrong.
Right.
Like, don't get it twisted. Because the second that you want to disrespect the time that I'm giving you, or you want to give me an excuse, I promise you, that Marshall you're going to see is not going to be one that you like, because he's an asshole. Yeah. And not on purpose, but just because like I just have such like disdain for that. I don't know why.
Because you want to see results.
I do.
You're results driven, and that's who I am. I want to see results, and if you're not going to bring the results, so I just do my thing. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of coaches out there that just take the check.
I know,
and they're good with it. I can't do it.
It's the money. You give them the value.
It's not me.
The money will follow.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And what I love about your energy is it's real, and and that's what's going to trump everything, because you're not supposed to fit for everybody, right? I always tell people, if I'm everyone's cup of tea, I'm switching to coffee.
100%, man.
I'm switching to coffee because I'm doing something wrong, right? And at the end of the day, if you can stay true to yourself, that's all that matters, to live in your honesty, live in your real. And it's interesting, man. So what do you, where do you see yourself going? What do you, what do you want to do?
You know, to be honest, you know, I didn't know where this brand was going to go. So when I started last November, I actually invested in myself for the first time ever last November. I was a solopreneur trying to make money online for 5 years. And this is the other major keys to success, is I tried to do it all alone. I just tried to. I was smart enough. I was like, oh, all I have to do is show up and work harder than everybody. So you're telling me all I have to do is work harder than everybody and I get to have whatever I want? Done. Right. So I spent 5 years doing that, trying to outwork everybody alone. And I got pretty much nowhere. I had just enough money to keep paying my bills and just to line just like this. Yeah. So last November, I finally invested in myself for the first time. I knew that social media was a tool that could be used to make a lot of money. And so I bought this course. At the time, it was all the money I had, which is crazy. And I figured out how to go around to small local businesses and talk them into letting me run their social media. So social media marketing. And I was able to have some success in that. And all I did then in January was I created a free Facebook group, and with no intentions. I just was like, oh man, this is working for me. I'll make a video and share with other people in this course, how to do it. And from that, I accidentally positioned myself as a social media guy, and then just from the way that I am, my brand has grown. So where do I want to go? Well, it started off, I thought I was a social media guy, and I've been building this big brand, Marshal Live, for the last 10 months. And now all of a sudden, I keep connecting and keep meeting people like you, and I go, and it is. That's one of the greatest things too, is that if you're true, if you're honest, you can move with speed. You can pivot as many times as you need to, and as long as I'm giving my audience the authenticity and the realness and the value, I can show up tomorrow and be like, hey, guess what, guys? We're talking about ballet from now on. They're going to be like, fuck, all right, Marshall, we trust you.
Right.
And that's one of the big great things. So now what do I see myself doing is this last month I spent, like I mentioned earlier, just networking. I felt like it was a weak spot of mine. And like I always do for my audience, I just said, look, I'm being honest, I suck at this. So I'm going to do everything I can in front of you, live, document every day, showing you guys I'm showing up. And the last month is just absolutely incredible. I mean, it's been incredible. My brand has gone like this just from the connections I've made and getting myself around people. And I'm starting to realize that there are real life people who make a living speaking and running live events. Like,
yes.
That's it. So I'm not ever going to try to be the smartest. Like Richard Branson says, like when he walks in his boardroom, he wants to be the dumbest guy in the room. I want to be the dumbest guy on my team too. So I don't try to be anybody. I go back to high school and I go, oh, I'm good at networking and being that super connector. So now I'm creating a business where I go out, I connect with the best, most talented individuals in the space that I want to be in. I make friends, I do things like this, and then the goal is I have my own live event, and that's what the plan is within the next year to throw the first live event for my brand, Self-Made Live, and to have people like you stand on my stage, to have the best of the best. I just want to build that biggest, tallest soapbox that there is, and I want to invite every entrepreneur that is an action taker, that wants to give value, that wants to change lives, to come stand on it and sell their stuff. Like, that's what I want. I'm not dumb. I don't need the whole piece of the pie, man. Like, I'm smart enough. I'm gonna get a little piece of your pie and this pie by giving value and connecting people. So my business is really that. I want to speak. I want people to come to events. I want them to listen to you talking about how to overcome fear. I want them to listen to, Rob about how to get on media or whatever it is, all these connections I'm making. And I want people to leave changed, because that's the power that I have. Like, my gift is the gift of gab. And I understand as entrepreneurs, we're like superheroes, right? And each of us have a superpower. And I believe that superpower can be used for good or evil. But you're given that superpower for a reason, and it's to help people. I think it's to help people, right? So my gift of gab, why do I have that? Oh, I get it. It's because it gives me the ability to go out and create attention and awareness, to generate wealth, right? And then to go out and to help people who can't help themselves. So that means sheltering people who don't have shelter, or watering people who don't have water, or feeding people who aren't fed. Or one of my things, my big thing is suicide awareness and prevention. I lost one of my brothers, basically my very best friend, to suicide a few years ago. I tried to commit suicide when I was 23 by slamming a bottle of Xanax and a bottle of vodka, and I think like an 8-ball or something. It was terrible. And so it's very, very,
it goes deep
to me, because I know what it's like to do that. So now it's exciting. Like, that's exciting. I used to clean. I tell this story, and this is a true story. The day that the breaking point, I was 25. I was standing in a bathroom in a plastic bucket factory. My plastic bucket machine was broken down for the day. I thought I was going to get sent home, but instead they gave us all duties, and my duty was to clean the bathroom. It was to clean the bathroom that day, and I worked with all adults, right? I go into this bathroom. It's hot. It's like 130 degrees. It's a factory, and I walk into the stall, and somebody had smeared poop all over the wall, like, just with adults. And in that moment, I'm not too proud to say, like, I remember looking at the wall, and I looked down at my thing and thinking, I'm getting paid $10 an hour right now, all this promise I had in the world, and this is what I'm doing. I'm cleaning shit off of a wall. And I started crying. Like, I was weeping. I started weeping, actually. I'm like, that's when I was like, time to take control. Yeah, and like, I used to do that, and now I get to, like, you're telling me all I get to do is like go out and just get people excited about changing their lives and like being a super connector. I'm like, I'm down for that. That's amazing. What kind of world do we live in where I can do that? Where somebody who used to clean poop off walls is now a social media expert? I mean, give me a break. That's crazy. So every day I wake up, I don't know, it's just easy. Sometimes she's like, how do you have so much energy? I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's too much opportunity to sleep in the world. Like, what do you mean? Like, let's get started. What can we do? Who can we change? And I just think that that's such a special and unique time.
What I want to highlight from what I heard too is so people really understand this, and let's circle this and put some neon signs around it. Once you stopped running, right, now you have something to go after. And here's what I mean by that, and I think you heard me say this on stage. The darkness is only temporary as long as you keep moving forward. The only time it becomes permanent is when you go back into safety, right?
Yeah,
so
that's so good.
So every time that somebody and you're talking about suicide, right? When somebody feels that dark, most of the time it's because they're not willing to face, they're staying in that comfort zone. And I put quotations because It's a perception. They think it's comfort, but it truly is darkness because
100%.
we're here to do one thing: grow, expand, and move forward.
That's it.
That's why we're human beings.
Right.
We're here to, in this journey, to grow and expand. And I always tell people, because I get messages and emails and this and that, the Monster Motivator. I'm in a funk. Okay, you want to get out of a funk? It's real simple, right? Life makes the rules. I don't make the rules. You want to get out of a funk? Go look and find and spend time with somebody that has it harder than you. And if you have trouble doing that, let me help you. I'll take you to a children's hospital. A 12-year-old little girl is fighting for her life, for cancer, going through her second thing of chemo. She's the rock of the family. Her parents are ready to crumble because they're going to lose their little girl. And this little girl's got a smile on her face. Now go tell her your problems.
Crazy.
How about that?
Crazy.
You want to get out of your funk? Let me show you how.
No doubt.
It's real fucking easy.
Yeah.
Go see that. Go to a convalescent home. They're 95 years old. Their time clock's over.
Yeah.
They can't turn that clock back. Talk to them.
You're so right, man.
It's true. It's simple, just not always easy.
Perspective. When you said that, dude, that's my thing. When you said that on the stage the other day, I was like, this dude gets me, man. Because that's my thing. It's simple. It's not easy, but it's super simple. And that's the thing. Like, you want to complain about like slow internet? Like, go talk to a 90-year-old man who has regrets and tell me how bad your day really is.
It's the truth.
You know what I mean? Like, people want to complain about Mondays. Like, give me a break. Like, Monday, you get like 2,200 of them in your life. Like, if you're 37, you have like 900 Mondays left in your life. Like, what are you complaining about?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Life is perspective, right?
100%.
You ever see that picture of that little black kid he's probably in Africa somewhere, where he's kneeling down drinking out of a hug of water, right?
Yeah.
So again, when you're complaining and you're bitching and moaning and you live in this country and you're so privileged, it's ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I actually were just talking about this. I said, look, you have to understand, I live in San Diego, California. I'm half Mexican, but I'm like a white male. I live in Southern California. I'm a white male. I can walk to my kitchen that has food in the refrigerator. I have a bed to sleep in. I have a roof over my head, and I have hot and cold running water at my disposal anytime.
And not only that, because we live in San Diego, and let me give you a little help, right?
Yeah.
If you ever are looking for something to do, I got the perfect job for both of us. We could do it with our eyes closed. We live in San Diego. I could be the weatherman. Tomorrow's going to be 75 and sunny. No humidity. It looks that way for the next 6 months. It's unbelievable. We live in paradise.
Which makes me one of the top 1% probably in the world.
Right.
Like, literally, world of most privileged people.
Right.
And what are we talking about?
Exactly.
So for me, I never lose perspective in that. And that was the thing of getting out of my, when I looking back, that's why I said I don't have any accountability in my life. And that's the word that changed my life, is accountability. It's the first word I ever learned in my entrepreneur journey, was, I need to be more accountable. I need more accountable for my actions. I like working out, so if I go out and party and work out feeling like shit, I can't work out. Get rid of going out and partying. More accountability. Okay, I don't have the position. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, if you work in a freaking cubicle. Like, if you want the top job, top spot at your place, like, have you made yourself valuable enough to get it? Are you hold yourself accountable enough to get it?
Are you becoming that person
Yes.
to date that girl?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Are you becoming that
Simple,
person
not
to
easy.
date that girl? And you heard me say this, I'm a big fan of this because it's real, is the two main, if you want to win in life, right?
Yeah.
Just adopt the mindset of the immigrant, right? When you can adopt these two things, you become untouchable, the heavyweight champion of the world. When you become hungry and grateful. When you're hungry and you're grateful, that's why immigrants, when they come over here, that win, because they're hungry. And I remember when Arnold came over. Arnold goes,
my favorite.
Him and Franco, right?
Yeah.
Franco came from Italy. He came from Austria. He goes, well, this is easy.
Yeah.
Because I can outwork everyone.
Everybody.
Everyone's lazy here. They're
So
soft.
privileged.
He goes, they're soft. And I love his one. They made a poster of it. This lady or guy or somebody came up to him at Venice Beach when he was in his 20s, and they said, "Oh my God, I'd never want to look like you." He goes, "Don't worry, you never will."
You never will. That's one of the best lines.
Don't worry about it. You won't.
I love Arnold.
You don't have the work ethic.
My
But
all-time favorite.
when you combine those two, hunger and gratitude, you're actually unstoppable.
100%. You know, and for some of the younger viewers or somebody that might be watching, the same thing. It's like Gary Vaynerchuk says. It's that understanding that you're the best and the worst at the same time.
Yes.
Like, I'm grateful.
Pushing, pulling.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, on one hand, I can sit here with you, Dave, and I'm not going to ever compete with what you do, what you've created, because you're
your own
awesome.
flavor.
Right. You know, I'm like, man, Dave, like, that's amazing. I'm like, but on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, fucking, let's get on stage together and let's see who can motivate somebody.
Let's do
you know
it.
what I mean? And that's how I live my life, when you can do that pull and that push. And the rest is just showing up, like you said, every day. But it's like, there's nothing about politics, but, you know, with the way the country's been recently, people want to, oh, America, and I'm moving out, or I'm moving to this. And I'm like, to do what? Do you understand you live in, like, the greatest nation of all time? Like,
I say
you know,
go.
Go. If you want.
It'd be less traffic.
Are you kidding
Listen,
me?
go.
Oh, dude, we're
Go.
so privileged to live here. Like, you can do anything you want. If you live in India and you go try to start a sandwich shop and it fails, like, you and your family are probably going to die.
And,
like,
and not only that, you go to another part of the world and you speak up, you're going to get killed.
That's it. Like,
So
and you
go.
Yeah. Like,
Go.
oh, God. I'm moving
Bless
to
you, man.
Canada. Cool.
Let us know how that works out for you.
Go take your
Yeah.
50%, whatever. So I'm
Yeah, no, I get you,
man.
man. I get it. And it's so easy to oversee all that,
Right.
you know? And you know, again, I'm a big believer that at the end of the day, when everything's said and done, the foundation of every single thing and every single person is your self-image. And when you can build that self-image, you can build it up, you can tear it down, but you cannot outperform it.
100%.
And that's why
That's
the
good.
gift
Yeah.
that your mom gave you, building your self-image as a little kid,
Right.
is the greatest gift that any adult can give a child, because you're going to teach them to fish instead of thinking that someone has to fish for them, right?
But it's so true, man.
And it's one of the things that, right, it's
Yeah.
only natural that you're ready to come on this show, you're looking at all the other shows, and
Yeah.
you start to question, but your self-image doesn't allow you to stay there.
Right.
It says, let's go, right?
100%.
But not everyone has that
Yeah.
in them, and that's what's sad, because your self-image limits you, or it absolutely explodes you, right?
That's so true,
Because
man.
think about this: Gary Vee came from an immigrant family,
Right.
and was never supposed to win.
Right.
If you really look at his life,
Right.
he wasn't.
No
and
way.
He just, no pun intended, but he crushed it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He just crushes
He
it. It's
And
amazing.
And that's the thing. It's like, and I love the saying. He says, you know, work is the variable of success, which is true. You show up every day. And okay, so these are like my 3 pillars of success that I always share with people. And this is what I live by. Like, I know it sounds pretty basic, but the first one is to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Literally, just every morning I wake up, I'm always honest with
Live your
myself.
truth.
Live my truth. And like a football player or a weightlifter, some days you're going to be going to the weight room and you're going to hit that PR. Some days you're not. But as long as you're trying and being honest, and you're being honest with yourself how you feel that day, like, that's step 1. Step 2 is be honest with everybody around you. So I don't ever sugarcoat it. I don't ever pretend to be somebody I'm not. And I'm never going to tell you something that's not true. I'm just not. You might not like me, but I'm going to be honest with you. So be honest to myself. Be honest to everybody around you. And the last thing is just be the best you can be every day. So again, that maybe you can't hit that PR weight that you hit last week, but if you show up to this Monday and you're at least being the best that you can be this week, that's all I'm asking. So if you're honest with yourself, you're honest with people around you, you show up, you try your best every day, it's a game changer. Like, that's it. Like, live through honesty, give more than you take, you know what I mean? And just work your face off every day. And I'm not like, the one thing about Gary Vee, like, he wants to take over the world. Like, he loves working 18 hours a day. Okay, I don't want to work 18 hours a day.
Right.
I don't want that. But if you want that, to get started, to build it, you have to.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no other way. It's not going to fall in your lap. You don't get to do it part-time. You don't get to pick and choose and do, like, every day, all the time. You are your brand everywhere you go. And if you show up and you treat it like that, your life can completely change. Whether you're a motivator, whether you teach people how to do arts and crafts online, like, it doesn't matter.
It truly does.
We're living in an industrial revolution right now. This is a new TV, like, Gary, that's a TV. This is a channel, MTV, ESPN, ABC.
By the minute.
By the
It's
minute.
changing.
I don't have to get in touch with that, contact 1 million people to try to get on your show. We go direct to consumer. Talk about anything we want.
Game changer.
Everything.
Podcast, game changer.
You have a mobile
Love
phone and you can have $40 a month and you like something in life, you can build a business. And there's people out there, like, you don't have to be the expert. You just got to be one step ahead of the next person, right? And if you can give value to that person and you're honest and you're trying to build people, like, literally you can change your life. You can sell this, you can sell that. Like, you can do anything.
I
just
love it,
think it's
man.
amazing.
It
It's an
really
amazing
is.
time
We're
to be alive.
living. We're so fortunate. To live in this time that we're living in. I love that, man. So as always, man, we end the show the same way.
I like it. I was in the shower getting
your roar on.
I was humming.
So we're going to take this out Monster Motivator
I
style.
like
But
it,
before
man.
we do, is there anything you want to share before we do jump off? So, and before you do that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Before you do that, once we jump off, you're going to be able to address everyone, answer any questions, post all your links so they can find you, right? So nobody has to write anything down, and you're going to reconnect with everyone.
Yeah.
And I know you'll jump back on. So
100%.
everyone knows that once we jump off. So we're Instagram, Monster Motivator, Dave Daley, Monster Motivator, Facebook, Facebook Live,
Marshal
on yours,
Live, yeah,
right?
yeah.
We're hitting it all. So is there anything you want to share before we jump off?
The last thing the only thing I want to share, and I've said it, I know I've been saying it right now, but literally if I can just say anything, just connect more. Like you'll be so surprised on how quickly your life can change if you start surrounding yourself with people who want you to win. So if I can give you guys one piece of value that I teach my audience and all the private clients and all the courses I've ever created, if you guys are watching this right now and you haven't made this one subtle change yet, do it and it'll change your life. You have to understand that you surround yourself with people who want you to win, mean people who are like you, next level above you, the people that are trying to go to the same place that you guys want to be. So in real life, you've heard this a million times. You know, if you hang out with 6 guys in the bar stool, you'll be the 7th, right? So when we're starting to make these mindsets, we get very protective of our physical space. And we go, oh, well, I'm cutting out all the bad people out of my physical space. But then what happens is we hop on Facebook, we hop online, and we haven't cleaned up that digital space. We don't treat our digital space the same as we treat our physical space. And that's the disconnect for a lot of you guys because we're spending so much time on our phones. So I want to end with this. My challenge to you is if you see stuff on your timeline, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, whatever platform you're on, if it doesn't bring value to your life, if it's politics that don't matter, if it's a fucking meme that doesn't mean anything, like get rid of that stuff. Get all that stuff out of your network. Your digital space is just as important, if not more than important than your physical space. And when you can start to get on your phone and every single time you open it up, it's not some crap that makes your blood boil, but it's somebody that's doing it, or somebody that had a big win, or somebody that's being honest and vulnerable, you're like, oh man, I can do this. And now if you get on my timeline and any of my stuff, like it's like the most motivational stuff ever. So the one tip, clean up your digital space, fill it with people who want you to win, people like you, and reach out and connect with them. Like my life is changing simply because I came out of the thing and this guy was, I got bum rushed. The first I said, hey, you're Dave, you're the monster guy. Hey, what's up, man? And I was gone as quick as
Massive effective action.
But right.
Massive effective action.
So just take action. Show up every day. Connect, and you guys will be surprised where your life could go.
Love that, man. Get rid of the energy vampires, man. They suck the life right out of you.
That's perfect.
They
Energy
suck-
vampire, that's good.
They suck the life right out of you.
No
So
doubt.
we're going to take this out one way. We're going to take this out Monster
Let's do
Motivator
it, man.
style. Now the sound is just as important as the pose. And I always ask this question: life makes the rules, right?
Yeah.
And life says, right now, if you could live your life purring like a kitten, roaring like a lion, what are you going to do?
Oh, I'm roaring like a lion, baby.
So we're going to take this out on 3. 1, 2, 3.